Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So what I thought I would do, since I can't do any races, and I've been discussing some of my full marathon races, that what I'd do is I'd go back and talk about some of the races I've already done. It just so happens that a couple weeks ago, it was the 2-year anniversary of me running one of the craziest things I'd ever done. Third only to running a full marathon and running a 18K, or not 18K, a 30K, which I had done earlier that year. So in August, early August of 2018, I ran they called it the Triple Threat Race in Rockport, Massachusetts. Up to that point, and even still, I've never run 3 races in one day, except for that particular day. Basically what it was, if you signed up for doing all 3 races, that is, you ran a mile, a 5K, and a half marathon. Now you could also choose to just do the half, or just do the 5K, or the mile, or do one of, like, 2 of the races without doing all 3. So, I thought, because I think by that point I had done I know I'd done the 30K, and I was in the process, I think, of doing the first Run Disney challenge. So I thought, mile 3.1, 13.1, that's only 17.2 miles. So that's less than the 30K, that's less than what I was doing in Disney, and it's certainly less than doing a full marathon, which I was at that point already planning on doing. So we got down to Rockport, Massachusetts the day before. Unfortunately, there was nothing to do race-wise the day before. All you had was basically just going around Rockport or doing whatever else you want to do. So, it's a very, it's a coastal town in Massachusetts, very scenic, a lot of nice little places, shops, restaurants to go into, and a lot of nice little views to get. We ate at a nice restaurant where we overlooked the port. So, the next day, got up early because, well, early-ish. We had to check out of the hotel, of course, but, the thing was, the first race, the mile, was at 8 o'clock. And it was a little ways away from where we were staying, so, had to get up relatively early so I could get, prepared. We could get checked out, all that stuff, and then get down to the place where I got my packet and stuff. So, like I said, the first race was at 8 o'clock. That was the mile, and then I think they gave you like 15 minutes to do that, and then it was time for the 5K. So, it was the mile started at 8, the 5K started at like 8:15, 8:20, and then the half started at 9 o'clock. I think it even ended up starting a little late. Probably there were still a couple people that would have been in the way from the 5K. because each race, the first little bit, ended up kind of following the same path, so they needed to take some time to make sure that there weren't any runners that would be in the way. So, but that was one of the first times that I had a race that started that late in the morning, like a half marathon, starting that late in the morning. Most of the halves that I've done have started, 7, 8 o'clock, some even earlier, like the Disney ones. But most of them start at 7 or 8 o'clock. So it was a bit surprising, especially being a coastal town, like I said, beginning of August, to have the half portion start at 9. If there were any complaints I had about the races, it was that the races should have started at 7, do the mile at 7, then do the 5K at 7:15, 7:20, and then do the half at 8. Because the problem that a lot of the runners ran into with it starting at 9, and I don't know if this is a yearly thing that happens to runners during this particular race, but it was very humid because, of course, like I said, it's a coastal town where we were running. So, and you end up running on the beach, which is awesome. But the problem was that the fog had rolled in. So we couldn't see very well, for one, once we got on the beach. And that lasted, I want to say that lasted a mile or two, possibly 3. No, it wasn't that long. It was about a mile probably. But that wasn't very pleasant, not being able to see. And then, of course, because we were running through fog, you were basically just breathing in a lot more water vapor than you normally would. So it kind of affected the breathing a little bit. But it was everything about it was gorgeous. It was a very pretty area to be running in. But it was just that beginning of August in a coastal town, you end up dealing with a lot of heat and humidity. Even if you're, running at 9 or 10 in the morning. That's kind of why I'm like, I don't understand why they wait until that time to start the long race. I really think that they should start the races at 7 so that race starts a little bit earlier before it gets to the point where it's getting a lot, the sun's up, it's getting a little warmer, etc. Anyway, as you come back, you end up coming back on a lot of the same paths that you already crossed. So we ended up on the beach again. For me, it was like an hour later. So that was interesting, seeing what the beach actually looked like, and the fact that the fog really wasn't that far out into the ocean. So, yeah. And then you get into the more main part of Rockport for the last few miles. But that still is the worst time I have ever... My time was the worst on that race for all the halves that I have done. It took me a little over 2.5 hours. The next longest was like 2.25 hours. And that was one of my first half marathons I ever ran. But the problem I ran into was the heat, the humidity, the sun bearing down. It was, like I keep kind of saying, when it comes to August, you really need to think about timing. I personally saw one runner having heat stroke. I was going along. I did a lot of walking. I think I was walking at the time when I saw an ambulance, so I thought I need to get running and get out of their way, thinking that they were going to go past me, and instead they pulled into a driveway, and I had seen someone over there or a car over there, and when I got on the other side of the ambulance, I saw someone having a seizure with another runner there helping, and EMT and all that. So it was being taken care of. It's just I felt that that could be avoided if you started just an hour earlier for all the races. That was the other thing with my time. I never and have not since run 3 races in one day. I have run 2 races in one day a couple of times, but running 3 in one day I have not done. My body was not quite accustomed to that. I was trying to, take it easy for the first mile, and ended up doing the mile race in like 7 minutes and some seconds, which at that time was one of my faster times for a mile. And then the 5K was kind of similar, and I was then waiting in line for the Porta-John because I wanted to be sure that I was ready for the half. So I didn't get to the half start line quite the time that I wanted, but that's why I think that we were delayed a few minutes, because I remember being kind of nervous that I wasn't going to get there in time, and then I got there with plenty of time to spare because they kept saying, okay, we're going to start in a couple minutes, and then, okay, we're going to start in a couple minutes. And anyway, back to the heat stroke, because my mom actually was waiting for me at the finish line and watched 2 runners help a woman across the finish line, and as soon as she crossed, she collapsed. And they immediately called EMTs, tried to get her helped out, and she ended up on the ambulance taken somewhere. But again, I really, if the company is watching this, I really stress you should think about, or someone that works with the company, you should really think about starting those races an hour earlier to avoid a lot of problems, because it is August, even though we're in the Northeast. It gets hot in August, especially on the coast, that time of year, and it can get really humid, which makes it, a little worse. So, yeah. Other than that, it was a great race. Like I said, I really enjoyed the scenery. It was challenging, and it was fun. I really do recommend it. Just be mindful of what the temperatures are when you are going to run it. You may want to wear a tank top. You may want to carry extra fluids with you. I've never done that for a race, but you may want to consider it with the heat that you deal with that time of year. And yeah, but I really do recommend it. I recommend doing other races from the company. I've only done the triple threat races, but they have 2 challenges within their company. One's the 6-pack challenge, where you run the half for each of the 6 weekends that they do in different spots in Massachusetts. The company is called YuKan Run, and the way they spell YuKan is the way you'd spell YuKan, except with an A instead of an O. I'll leave a link in the description if anyone's interested in doing races with them. So they do a lot. They're a Massachusetts-based company, and they do a lot of all their races are around Massachusetts. They do one for like April Fools. They do the Triple Threat. They do one closer to Christmas. I think it's like in November, maybe. But I do recommend doing stuff with them. Like I said, they do the 6-pack challenge. They also do, they call it the 12-pack challenge, where that's like what I did, where you do all the races that are each weekend. So, like they do miles along with the half, they do 5Ks along with the half. The Triple Threat is the only one where they do the 3 in the one weekend, and there's one weekend where they only do run one race, so that way it evens out to the 12. So I do recommend doing stuff with them. I recommend Triple Threat. I myself, once I'm done with doing the states and a couple other challenges I have for myself, maybe like the provinces of Canada, I do plan on returning to this company so that I can do the 12-pack challenge and get the special bling and everything that goes along with that, because I just enjoy running, and I enjoy all the fun stuff that I get along the way and all the fun places I get to go. Because in Massachusetts, I've really only seen Worcester and Boston and Rockport, but it'd be nice to see more other parts, especially if they're parts like Rockport. So, anyway, I'm going to continue doing, off and on, doing videos like this about different races I've run, just to, since I can't do my race footage because I can't do any races, so there is no footage, I'd like to discuss some of the races that I've done, whether or not they still exist, whether I recommend them if they do still exist, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. Look forward to those. Until next time, remember, we're in it for the long run. Peace and love.